Welcome back to Switched to Linux, and today we're going to have another look at another new Linux distribution that I have not looked at in the past. I think this is a fairly new one. This is CachyOS, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. All these new distributions are coming with weird names sometimes. It's like it's becoming the end of the world. We are getting now too many Linux distributions, and I have to rant very briefly that a whole lot of untested distributions are coming out. Everyone's all excited. And I've tried to do two separate distributions that the ISO files are simply broken. That's been a problem. Now, this one actually installed. I was actually planning on doing a different distribution. It didn't work. Yet again, it didn't work. So we're going to test this guy out, see how it looks. So this is CachyOS. It is based on Arch. And the idea is that it's based on Arch, and they allege that it's going to be a faster and more customized Linux distribution based on the fact that its architecture is customized for more modern processors. So let's go ahead and start looking at their website. This is CachyOS.org, blazingly fast and customizable Linux distribution. And you can go ahead and grab the download option. And the download option, we have a Plasma KDE, we have a GNOME, we have an XFCE, which says it's under construction. So no specific download link for that one. But you can actually just download one or the other, boot this guy up, run an online installer, and install what you want. Hopefully. My online installer did not specifically work, but that is most likely because I am on top of a mountain with spotty internet. So I'm not going to say the online installer has any problems at all. I'd want to test it somewhere where I'm not fighting the internet. But I did get in there just to see what all the settings and options were, so we can get a chance to see that. So just grab one of the two available ones, use the online installer, and then you can put together your fully customized system. Now, these guys did put together a lot of extra tools. We do have extra documentation. We do have a support forum. So there's support forum over here. We have just some basic questions. You can jump in on over here on their forum. And they do have a nice essential systems. What should you do after you install it? Well, first update. You can do some performance system swap. Space preferences can be adjusted if you need to. Cache pressure can be adjusted if you need to do that. We have firewall protection. You can do some app installs. And they say they have a really good package manager. We'll look around for that, see if we can find it. Enable the globe. Enable trim options. So if you are using an SSD, it looks like they're not installing the trim options out of the box. And that is a little bit disconcerting in this day, because if you install this and you don't read through this and do not enable that, it could actually burn through and kill your SSD much faster. So make sure you do that if you are installing this on a system. Maybe it does, but it is over here. If you have an SSD or NVMe, it would be highly recommended to enable FS trim to ensure your SSD or NVMe stays in good working condition. It is a slightly frightening. It doesn't do that out of the box, being that a lot of distributions are. So be aware of that. Here's a little bit more about how they're doing their blazing fast speed here. CachyOS is committed to delivering high-speed performance computing to its users. Our installer detects the microarchitecture of your machines and uses optimized packages for x86 64v3 systems, resulting in significant performance improvements of more than 10%. So if you were to test any random Endeavor OS like I'm running on mine versus this guy here, maybe that will run a little bit better. So we'll see what that happens to do. Here's your performance enhancements. It comes with several performance enhancements designed to improve the overall usage experience. And a CCPP, I almost said CCP, which is pre-installed and configured. ZRAM, which is pre-installed with ZSTD compression. BFQ scheduler, which is used by default for hard drives, and MQ deadline for SSDs. Highly optimized patched and turned Linux kernel. BBRv2 for default networking settings and additional tweaks to ensure it. There's extra security features, mostly with their custom browser. The Cachy browser is based on Firefox with security and hardening backports from LibreWolf with a few extra options as well. And we are going to have a look at this for the first time. I got it all installed. I did not go ahead and poke around in the system, so we get a chance to do a first look live. We do have how to install it. We have how it improves. We have various screenshots, info about the kernels. There is an NVIDIA setup. So if you do have NVIDIA on the original install screen, you can actually see that they have an option to choose NVIDIA there. And then, of course, we have our system tweaks, things to do after install, all sorts of other stuff. So these guys have done a really good job to make sure that everything is running pretty smoothly. So with that, we're actually installing this on GNOME boxes. So we'll go ahead and jump on over to GNOME boxes and see what this guy looks like. All right, so on our log screen over here, it does not let you use a short password, which is problematic. I do not like it when the operating systems do not let me choose my password. It's my choice if I want to use a weak password. Get it through your head. So we're going to land on our desktop here. I'm not sure why it's telling me my internet is suspect. What's going on with that? It's question mark wired. Maybe that's just my internet's on a little fritzy type moment. We do have a very nice welcome screen here, which you have the option to launch it at start or turn it off. We have all our documentation information. We have software, support software, get involved. We have apps and tweaks. So we can do a few different tweaks here. App Armor enabled or disabled. That's disabled by default. We have Bluetooth enabled by default. DNS crypt enabled. That's not turned off. Here we have a system update. We have a reinstall all package, refresh all keyrings, remove orphans, clear package cache, remove DB block. This is some good stuff that will actually fix the system. I've had people on Arch call me like, hey, I can't get my updates working, and they need the DB lock. So basically an update was interfered along the way, and I needed to walk them through how to remove the DB lock file. And so the fact that you have a very good option inside the hello button here to do a lot of these types of things is really good. So I really do like that. We have the package installer. We have the kernel manager. Let's have a look at the kernel manager first, and then we'll look at the package installer second. No kernels found. Run pacman sy to update the DB. Okay, so basically what we need to do is we just need to run our first round of updates. So that's one thing. It's not giving us, or is it? Let's see, system update, system cache. I don't want to do a full system update. Well, let's go ahead and do it anyway. Why not? So we need to enter our password. So synchronizing, and now we're going to update all of our caches, and then once we do this, then we'll go ahead and launch up the package installer and the kernel manager. All right, so we have the cache updated. We're not going to do the full system upgrade because I'm on limited bandwidth and I'm not downloading a gigabyte of data on slow internet connection for the purpose of a distro review that's going to be destroyed like tomorrow. So we're going to go ahead and just click on your kernel manager here. Now that the caches are up to date, we can get a chance to see what we have in here. The full system upgrade is not specifically necessary. You can see that we have 6.304 stable is the kernel available here. We have a variety of different options to choose from our kernel. They have documentation on exactly which each of these guys mean. If you need the extra LTS for long-term stability, you have that option, but it's going to do what it sees as the best kernel for the hardware that I have by default. So you can go ahead and change all those in there. Let's have a look at their package installer. And get that set up. It looks like, is it just running? Okay, I was going to say, if that just runs GNOME software, I'm going to be like disappointed to say we have a updated system. In fact, this almost looks like the package manager from MX Linux, which also the hello screen does as well. So here we can just pull it down and see what the various options are here. So here's your audio, here's your browsers. So if you want to do on Google Chromium, the Tor browser, Opera, Firefox, Firefox CSR, LibreWolf. The Cachy browser is already installed, so that's good. We have Brave. So a number of different browsers. Here's your different communication work. So a lot of different tools and options inside of here, so you can grab whatever systems you want. Here's repository. All the packages basically are raw repository, so if you know exactly what you're looking for, you can look there. And then let's see. So it includes this repository of Flatpaks for the user's convenience only and is not responsible for the functionality. Sure, whatever. Flatpak is not currently installed. Do you want to install it? Sure, why not? And then following packages were selected. Okay, and so, well, it looks like it's just spamming the invalid number. Error. I guess, can we hit Y? No. Okay. Well, that doesn't work. Let's go ahead and kill that. Yeah, I want to exit the installer. Apparently it's broken. See, we started this talking about how a lot of these new OSs are coming out without a lot of full testing. Like the Flatpak installer on this, how did this make it out? Do they not have QA in anymore? So here is their looks like I'm a little confuzzlicated here. So we had apps tweaks, we have package installer over here. Is already running. Close the application first. We've closed the application. It's done. Did it kill itself? Apparently it didn't kill itself when I tried to stop it, but whatever. I guess it's still there. And then this one looks very similar, but has a little bit of different feel to it. So it's a little confusing that we have two similar package installers that apparently do similar things. This one has fewer install options versus the other one, and the Flatpak is giving us some issues, the Flatpak installer. All right, we are running GNOME. We're running 1.7 gigabytes of memory, so 26% of our RAM is being used right now. CPUs are not doing a whole lot, so that's actually good, except CPU 2. This must be the one that's stuck trying to install Flatpak running through an infinite loop of errors. That's going to be what my guess is here. I just don't know. So we got some goofiness going on here in the system. Let's see. Let's see what processes are going right now and what's taking CPU spaces. GNOME shell, GNOME system resources. I'm not seeing any installer here that's taking up a bunch of memory. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know. CPU is sitting here at 100%. I don't know why. Maybe it's related to whatever tried to update itself and failed to update. I killed it. Apparently that doesn't kill it enough, but I don't see any obvious application to kill in the light of whatever's going on here. So, okay, that's interesting. We'll go ahead and let that do what it's going to do, I guess. Here's their customized browser. So this is based again on Firefox. This is the Cachy browser. Here's gives us a nice little presets, and we get something else showing up. We have a bunch of stuff just popping up out of the box here. See if we can spot what okay, so we have extensions default, we have Dark Reader, we have Canvas Blocker, uBlock Origin installed by default, and let's go ahead and have a look at the rest of the settings. So we have our Canvas Blocker requires container tabs. You can disable that. Here we have home page, we have web search. Nothing's strikingly out of here. Woogle is the default. Search for something. Instance has been rate limited. Interesting. All right, so we got the Woogle search engine giving us stuff over here. So that's actually good. I've not heard of Woogle before. But we have Woogle, we have DuckDuckGo, DuckDuckGo Lite, Google, Metgar, Sirex, Start Page. So we have a good suite of options available for there. privacy and tracking. And then here's what's going to be your basics. Update add-ons automatically, enable Firefox sync. So if you want to turn that off, you can go ahead and turn that off. I like the fact that they give us that. They give us the ability to use the Chrome CSS easily. Can enable our enable that. We can block canvassing. We can enable resist fingerprinting. So yeah, everything here is looking it's looking like a decent option here. We are not running DNS over HTTPS by default. We are using proxy DNS, so that's good. So this guy looks pretty decent. Let's see what applications are installed by default. Looks like not a lot. So yeah, not a whole ton. CachyOS. Here's our package installer. Here's our kernel manager. YAD settings. So really not a lot of anything installed by default. So it is very light in that we're not getting a whole lot of different options inside here. Let's see what this tweaks panel's about here. Suspend laptop when lid is closed. Here's your themes, fonts, keyboard and mouse, startup applications. Okay, your top bar has that. Let's add our date. You can add seconds if you want. You can do calendar with week numbers. Window title bars, you can maximize. Nothing. So we have a nice just tweaks option there for GNOME tweaks installed. And not much of anything else inside of here. So overall, my basic take. First, let's talk briefly about the tools. The package installer. Let's just do package installer here. Another application like Pacman or Pumuk is already running. Close that application first. And we don't have anything open. So you can see there's nothing open. So this apparently is an error that happened when I ran that, tried to simply install Flatpak. So apparently it's not letting itself end, although I don't see anything else. Let's see, is there package installer? There's a tracker miner. Let's see. Gateway. I don't see any obvious package installer running, so something got goofed up. Now let's just try this real quick. Well, we're just going to do a sudo pacman.syu and do that. It failed, unable to lock the database. So this is the case where that database lock is there. So let's go ahead and is it hello screen? Yeah, we're going to go ahead into the hello screen. So I think it's giving me the error that says that the something is still running. Really what we probably need to do is just kill the DB file. So let's go ahead and do that. It was removed. Okay, so that tells me now there's no X button over that pop-up window. You have to hit escape, and you're not going to get anywhere until you hit escape. So I had to match the keyboard a little bit to figure out where the problem was with that. All right, so now let's go ahead and see if we can't install packages. All right, so okay, so that's what the problem was. It was telling us something else is running, but really nothing else is running. Really what the problem was is that the DB lock file was there, but it wasn't telling us the DB lock file was there, something else. Now, though, what I see is now we have the theme changed. So I don't know what the hell's going on in this distribution. It looked really cool when we were in the welcome screen, but when I run it from the menu, let's go ahead and run that from the hello screen again. So when I run it from the hello screen, it looks nice. All right. But when I run it from just the menu, it looks like crap. So let's go ahead and try that. So you can kind of see that depending on where I run it from, it might look good, it might look bad. So there's some theming issues here. Of course, the basic theming, it should be the dark theme all around, and but we're getting, for whatever reason, this light theme. Here's this. Here's your Flatpak. No, we're not going. No. We're not going to Flatpaks again. I don't know. Maybe if we try and install it now, we can do that. But here's your options inside of here. So this is a very interesting distribution, I have to say, overall. So we get a nice Arch-based system. We get a lot of extra tools, which are very good. Huge positive. I think that's great. We need more Arch with more tools to do things like the DB lock. Maybe the messaging could be fixed in the system so that it doesn't just say some other instance is running. Maybe it says, hey, the DB lock is on, and redirect you to that option. Because it looks like they got halfway where we need to be, because a lot of people that have updates interrupted in Arch don't know what about the DB lock issue. Of course, that's a file that locks the database that gets removed as you're doing an update to make sure that only a single process can update at the same time to prevent issues from your system. The problem is if you interrupt an install or an upgrade or something like that, the lock file remains, and until you remove that lock file, you can't run anything else from the terminal or from an application or anything else. So it's great they have an option to click button remove that, but they don't have the messaging that tells people when to actually use that or explain what in the world that happens to be. So now the distribution itself is not specifically marketed for the new user, but it's marketed for the new or the experienced user. So I don't know where you want to sit in the middle of the messaging, but we're getting pop-ups specifically saying some other application is doing updates rather than, hey, DB lock is locked. Which some 2 and 2, even a beginning user, would look at that message and say, let's push that remove DB lock button. And that would actually fix it. There is something critically wrong with the Flatpaks, and I did actually have to push the update twice when I shut the camera off for just to allow the thing to update the cache. I actually had to kill the process and run it again because for whatever reason it got out to 50% on one of the library caches and it just stopped working. I thought, did my internet go down? So I booted up a web browser. No, internet wasn't down at all. So I went ahead and just killed it and then redid it, and then it worked. I'm wondering if isn't the same problem I had when I ran the online installer. So there might be something else fundamentally going wrong in the background here. Maybe it is not my internet connections. I don't really know. So overall, though, we do have a nice distribution with the availability of installing any desktop environment that I want on top of a nice, clean Arch. And if you use that online installer, you can select if you want print services or not. You can select the networking components or not, and a lot of other features, making this a very, very good user-friendly GUI-based Arch installer, which is going to detect the architecture you're using. We have NVIDIA options or no NVIDIA options. We have AMD microcode, Intel microcode or not. All of these are options that you can choose inside of the online installer, making this, in my opinion, a very, very good Arch distribution. A few of those little odds and ends that we had mentioned, to be done. But that being said, I think that this is overall a pretty good distribution. We got to keep an eye on it. We'll see where it's going in the future, and I'll look forward to seeing what you guys say about it in the comments down below. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.